I'm already on the same thing. Normally I haven't done those in there.
Yeah, too, but I didn't see them. Yeah, me too. So I think it's just, maybe it just doesn't show the name of the person. If that makes sense. Because it does show it in the line, in the sentence. So, I just wanted to make sure, because I got some stuff there that I couldn't find. They didn't give me that. And I would now make sure that it is not.
All the.
So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and call the Dresden School Board regular meeting to order at 7:14. Agenda review. Anyone have any changes, additions, or deletions? You'll note that I moved the non-public up earlier just because of we didn't want to have the family that has a request and to have to stay around for the whole school board meeting. So does anyone have any other changes? So at this point, I'm going to allow the public to address the board 3 minutes. Please state your name and your town that you're from. And if it has to do with an item on our agenda, if you can hold off until we get to that item, that would be great. Do we have anyone in the public who has anything? Anyone online? Nope. Okay. So now we're going to move on to some fun stuff. The environmental club update.
I'm gonna need a couple minutes to get this plugged in. So that
Oh,
I'm
we
gonna
need
use the screen.
PowerPoint,
Okay,
yeah.
I will move then.
Yeah.
We'll be right under the flush toilets.
Yeah.
With my favorite presentation.
Virginia, I don't see it blinking or
We're
anything.
actually looking into that, don't we?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I don't see it blinking or anything.
In the future, if you want to let me know, Jeannie, I can roll in the TV thing and let you hook up to it.
Oh, okay. There you go. Now you're blinking.
Sometimes this can be fickle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We can do introductions. Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Erin Kirkpatrick. I'm going to be a senior at Hanover High, and I'm one of the leaders of the Gardeners Club. Hi, I'm Dahlia Fold. I'm going to be a junior, and I'm another leader of the Environment Club. I'm Virginia Adams. I'm going to be a senior, and I'm the third leader. The Environmental Club. Yeah.
And you're our toilet person.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll be hearing from you.
I feel like you guys can call yourself seniors and juniors instead of I'm going to be.
Yeah.
Like I'm so.
It's a heavy mantle to carry.
Apparently, yeah.
We're already in the next building. We're building the next one. Listen, it really freaks me out when I have to write 2025. Okay.
No.
I used to work in college admissions, and every fall when we'd start reading applications, I'd think, oh my God, this is a young one. And then I think, no. Every year it happened.
Responding to this.
Oh.
Did something.
Ricky?
Okay.
Okay, well, so this is our presentation.
That's not look
You
right.
guys can read it.
If you want to send it to me, I could put it through Zoom.
No, I'm not sure. I've never seen that.
Not too many slides.
A little better.
It's the cable.
It's like 8 slides.
I would go ahead and read.
Let me try connecting to the other four to see if that helps.
Thinking it's been a long time.
Oh, no, still not.
It's great.
You wanna send it to us and I can post it?
Add it,
Add it
the
up?
facilities upgrades.
Yeah,
Kinda
that'd be
Tech upgrade.
Yeah. Okay, so Jamie, I just added you as, under the slideshow, so you
Okay.
now have.
Thank you, Jamie.
Did you email it to me?
I can email you the link.
I don't know what that means.
It'll probably show up as a notification in your email. So like if you check it.
Yeah, there it is.
Is that it?
Got it. Okay, I will. Oh my God, you're having me run it from, yeah, okay. Right.
Oh, there it goes.
Don't touch anything.
It's just one, there you go. One up. Good.
All set.
Yeah.
Feels
like a victory. I will
Let me know.
still, you know what, I'm
Can
still
you guys
gonna
see the
download
slides?
this and attach it in Word docs so it's
Perfect.
there.
Yes. So tonight, we're here to share with you the climate action plan that was written by students in the 2017-2018 and 2018-2019 Earth Systems and Ecological Design class.
You know what, I'm still gonna download this.
Someone's got their microphone on.
No, I think Zoom is just connecting. Neil was telling me he was having trouble getting in, so.
So does Dan know?
Are we good on the Zoom?
Okay, so we're having a little technical difficulty with Zoom.
Go ahead.
You guys go ahead.
Awesome, that's all right. I can start over. So, we're here to share with you the climate action plan that was written by students in the 2017-2018 and 2018-2019 Earth Systems and Ecological Design class for Hanover High. It's the first CAP in the country written for a high school, and it can be found on the school's webpage under the Sustainability tab. This project was guided by Hannah Kornfeld, a 2010 Hanover High graduate who manages Ascent Environmental's climate action plan practice in Sacramento, California, and who donated her time to help us design this plan. Our hope is that the Dresden School Board will integrate the CAP into the strategic plan and recognize that climate change is a generational justice and human rights issue. A team known as the Climate Action Plan Implementation Team, or CAPIT, reformed this summer to discuss ways HHS can reduce its greenhouse gas emissions associated with transportation. Transportation and building energy are HHS's two most significant contributors of GHG emissions. The CABINET meetings also zeroed in on the relationship between GHG emissions, equity, and environmental justice. The CABINET invites any interested board members to join. We typically meet twice each year. So what is a climate action plan? A climate action plan is a strategic plan that establishes policies and programs to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to the impacts of climate change. So who even adopts a CAP? You can see here 33 states out of 50 have adopted a CAP or are in the process of creating one, including Vermont and New Hampshire. This is like state governments that create one. So this slide shows our approach used for the CAP, and it's called the 5 milestones for climate mitigation. Milestone 1 was conduct a baseline emissions inventory and forecast. We did this in 2016 to 2017, and we hope to update the baseline data this year. Milestone 2, adopt an emissions reduction target for the forecast year. We've created emissions reduction targets for the years 2025 and 2050. Milestone 3, develop a climate action plan. The HHS CAP was released in 2019 and it was updated in 2022. Milestone 4, implement the climate action plan. We would like to share the progress we've made to date at the September board meeting. We would also like to share detailed information on HHS's greenhouse gas emissions from both anthropogenic and biogenic emission sectors, as well as GHG reduction measures by sector. Milestone 5, monitor progress and report results. We hope the climate action plan will be expanded to include the SAU 70 district and will become an example for other surrounding school districts. Okay, so this is a graph of the greenhouse gas reduction targets. On the y-axis, we have greenhouse gas emissions, and on the x-axis, we have the year. So the blue line on the top is the Hanover High forecasted emissions. Basically, if we continue business as usual and do nothing. The black line represents the recommended targets that are decreasing from the current 3,200 metric tons of carbon dioxide produced by Hanover High to 3,000 metric tons by 2025 and 760 metric tons by 2050. These goals are consistent with the Paris Agreement on climate change, aimed at limiting the temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels.
So why should HHS adopt a cap? This graph shows carbon dioxide concentrations on the y-axis in parts per million, which is basically a concentration measurement. And then on the x-axis is years, going all the way back to 800,000 years ago. Human civilization has only been around for the last 10,000 years, so like way down there. And the Industrial Revolution was around 1750. Up until that revolution, the CO2 concentration had not surpassed 300 ppm, which is the dotted line. You probably can't even see it, but it's right there. And then nor had the rate at which CO2 increased been as fast as the current rate. The current CO2 concentration is 417. This graph shows 414 and it was in 2021. So already 2 years, it's gone up 3 points. Humanity has never experienced life with carbon dioxide concentrations this high, nor have the ecosystems upon which humanity depends for its own survival. We believe that the HHS community should be extremely concerned about the effects of climate change, take responsibility for our carbon emissions, and take immediate action to reduce them.
This slide is going to show some of the effects of climate change. Some of the effects listed here we've already experienced firsthand this summer in the Upper Valley. All the extensive flooding in Vermont, including health repercussions from the smoke from Canadian wildfires and other more fires in Maui. It just seems that these are hitting closer to home each year, and especially this summer. And I think I speak for, not just us or the members of Environmental Club, but really our whole generation when we say that we want to fix this and focus on it, we want to make addressing these effects a priority.
So this is the table 5 from the cap that's online. It shows the implementation requirements of each greenhouse gas reduction measure, which is identifying groups within the school that would be responsible. You can see it says like building administration, stuff like that. Determining priority, cost, and also timing. We're hoping that this implementation matrix could serve as a district model for the capital improvement fund and help scaffold goal planning, implementation, and measuring progress towards greenhouse gas reduction goals, which could also be taken as an example for everybody everywhere, honestly, if they wanted it.
So in May 2017, the town of Hanover, New Hampshire voted on a community goal to transition to 100% renewable energy. The goal currently states that Hanover will have 100% renewable electric energy by 2030 and 100% renewable heating, cooling, and transportation by 2050. Hanover is the first town in New Hampshire to commit to Sierra Club's Ready for 100 goal, a national movement led by the environmental organization working to help cities convert to running on 100% renewable energy. Hanover High School should be committed to doing its part to help the town reach this goal.
The end. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have questions or?
Oh, go ahead. Anyone have questions? So you're aware that at the last town meeting, one of the warrants was that we, as I think it was Dresden and Hanover, right? Dresden and Hanover committed to attempt or try to, can't remember the wording, but by 2030, meet those goals or develop a policy and meet those goals while also keeping costs reasonable.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
So you all mentioned September, you want to come back?
Yeah, we're gonna come back to you with a more formal motion.
Okay.
Just we wanted to give you a heads up, kind of give you a background, so you don't have to do this.
Yep, so just, we published the agenda the Friday before the school meeting, so just make sure you get it to Rianne.
Okay, thank you.
Kim.
And I just want to thank you for reminding us of this. And actually, I'm really glad you were here actually for the first
Yeah,
part for
that's- yeah.
SAU 70, because actually the reason why a big part of the reason why, there were lots of reasons, but a big part of the reason why we did the SAU facility conditions assessment is because we needed to understand, we heard this and we said, yes, this is great, but also what's the bigger plan, right? And so we needed to kind of get a sense of the whole system and not just Hanover High School.
Right.
And so really what you just heard was the building block from this. So, I think that, really thank you for that. And it really is, including in what we're talking about. And we have, energy efficiency in our strategic plan. The actual, just as for process wise, as far as kind of, that was the SAU 70. Now what's going to happen this academic year is that each one of the buildings are going to kind of take that overarching goals and figure out how does our building compare to those goals, and where, if anything needs dollars for the budget, right? We're going to be talking about that this year for next year's budget, which of course we only really look 1 year as far as building the budget, right? But we're trying to develop the CIP, which is this other section, which is thinking longer term, which is some of these items are, multi-year kind of projects. So just wanted to kind of share thanks, and we didn't forget about it. And actually that's why we have that facility condition. So thank you.
And I'll just offer Kim, it just dawned on me, have you all talked to the kids at Richmond School, or I don't know if the elementary schools would be able to handle this, but working with some of the students at Richmond may actually be able to leverage a lot of stuff. you
Yeah,
guys
that's a
already
good
done.
idea. Well, I think, yeah.
Well,
Yes,
and we had a very impassioned presentation at
Yeah, that's right.
the high school about solar panels and.
last month,
Okay.
the elementary school kids came up and gave us a presentation on.
3 amazing fourth graders.
They were.
Yeah, they
very
didn't need
passionate.
notes on their slides.
Yeah.
And I think that, the older grades at both Marion Cross and Ray could,
Yeah.
on a more limited basis, be really
Yeah.
helpful. So,
I think that'd be a great way just to connect.
You wanna
Because I feel
keep-
like we have an Enviro Club, I don't think Richmond does, but
One of the things, and you guys may have this, we may have this, I don't know, but I've heard our facilities audit representative talking about some of the really, and Kim too, talking some of the really low hanging fruit, like energy efficient lighting, like the dual flush toilets. And I see you have cost here, which is excellent. But I'm wondering if you guys have done any kind of like return on investment, sort of, what would be the reduction in water usage and cost to the district? Do you know what I'm
I
saying?
know
Those
that
trade-offs?
when I presented my toilet thing, there was a pretty huge reduction just in that. So I don't know if that's the only thing we have, but
Mhm.
yeah, I don't think we have.
we haven't really
Yeah.
calculated. That would be probably something we should do.
Because that would be
Yeah.
really helpful. I mean, it's part, if we look at it, it's like, oh, it's gonna cost us $5, like,
Yeah.
we're do it, right? Like, when you look at the
Yeah.
trade-offs, so.
Yeah.
I'm just, this document, which I'm sort of scrolling through while you're talking, was shared with me when I first came on the board, and it's, I'm looking at 62 pages
Yeah,
long, and I know it's not easy, it's cumbersome, but it seems like it would be a really wonderful piece to have as many students as possible become familiar with this document. How you do that, I'm not suggesting that I have the right answer, but some of the ways that we can mitigate our impact have to do with buy-in from students on things like carpooling or choices that they make about using paper towels or whatever. And I think that it's not all just happening at the school board level. And it would be really wonderful if there was a way to share this document more fully with families in the community and with taxpayers and with
Well,
students.
that's what I was thinking, like Valley News or Vermont Digger, or
Right.
just saying, hey, we're the only high school right now that has a cap, and
Yeah.
maybe see if they can get some,
Mhm.
because that'll also maybe motivate some of the other school districts around us to.
So, my daughter who, in California writing climate action plans and helped us with this, is working on a project in Vermont right now to, design a template that other schools that want to develop their own climate action plans can use. And so, when we spoke with Jay, last week, he talked about having this climate action plan, include all the schools in the district. The only reason we have this climate action plan is because my daughter was able to volunteer all this time. And, you know, we're fortunate to have her. Most schools don't have somebody who can do that. So having this template would be really helpful. So we're hoping that the climate action plan will be broadened in this coming school year, with Hannah's help. You know, so that we have all schools on board with this. And it's really nice to have the baseline measurements from Veritas. Hopefully we can tap into those, but this is broader in the sense that it includes transportation and other sectors.
So would the Columbia have access to the databases?
I don't know, I need to speak
Yeah.
to everybody in administration, to see, you know.
I don't know if there's
Yeah,
proprietary
I
stuff
didn't
and all
know-
that.
I don't know how many, right, I don't
Yeah.
know the answers yet.
Okay.
There's no reason not to share it with them, I just don't know how many,
Seats you have,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Lisa?
Yeah, just, I know you all are busy as Hanover High kids, but this, as the strategic planning process goes forward, there are strategic planning meetings that are open to the public, and if you all or members of your club could attend, it will help us remember to keep this as a high priority.
Yeah.
So I would just encourage that if you could, and again, recognizing that time is limited. But you know, just look at the SAU calendar, they get posted, and you know, maybe at your meeting, you could assign people or something.
Yeah.
So.
Any other, Eric?
I was gonna make 2 points. I guess one is, I mean, from a budgeting standpoint with your daughter, given we do have this kind of energy audit coming up, I mean, maybe we end up putting something in the budget, we expand it more formally to do a proper study of the other, like this with the other schools, because to your point, I was kind of, it is interesting that we could sort this and you could, some of the responsibility is the students and the teachers, and then obviously administration built, right? But to get the low hanging, to complete the whole picture. And then my other question was that, Jamie, you have to answer this, but yeah, it would be interesting if there was a way to pull out some of the energy audit stuff and. Cause I mean. You look at what even the March Intensive, I keep saying this program did for the algae wheel over at the Marion Cross School, and that was kind of game changing because it was a lot of work that frankly, none of the board members can do or don't have the expertise to do. And it was kind of like, it really moved us forward like rapidly. So,
So look
You
at
know, just-
alternative design.
yeah, just like, hey, let's look at even the high school and let's look at like, they came up with these recommendations and let these guys go
Well,
after that.
And to answer, I just want to say this, great work, okay, and you guys are always gung ho and it's fabulous. And sometimes I know you get frustrated because the wheels of motion don't move fast, okay, but. We do look at all of these things, right? And we know that we can be more energy efficient in our buildings. But as administrators with set budgets that are being carved out and cut and asked to be restrained every single year, right? We have to make decisions up until such point that we can have concrete data to make sure that the investments, what Kim's talking about and other folks are talking about, and I know it's not popular with environmentalists to hear this, but you want to try to break even, right? If you're putting out, you know, $2, $5, $10 million, you know, to put solar on a roof, you want to make sure that it will last the lifetime of the loan at least, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's come a long way, right? Like 10, 15 years ago, it was tough to do that with the type of space that you have. Now they've come so far along, the technology has gotten so much better that the return on investment is so much easier to meet. We've been looking at this. We know there needs to be lighting projects. What we ran up against that people sometimes forget is that Dresden does not have capital reserves. Anything Dresden School District does has to be borrowed and paid for. So we just, yay, paid off our last $3 million loan payment per year, okay, this year. And so that really is why it opens up this huge possibility for us as we move forward with a capital improvement plan that makes sense to get all these types of things done at the same time that we bring the building up, you know, to a level where it's functioning most efficiently and in the best use for the people who are occupying it. You know, so it's not that we're not listening or that we don't care, because we do care and we want to leave it a better place. It's just a matter of the timing, because of how our structure works a little bit can be frustrating. But no, great work, and I really do hope that, I think it can all be brought together, because you know, you are the future of our country and you all will make the difference. So thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Shelley?
So I just wanted to let everyone know that the cap that they're referencing, and I assume the update, though I couldn't find it, is in board docs somewhere. And I wanted to ask if we could attach,
Did this?
if you could attach any versions that we have.
I
For the
put this,
public.
I did attach their.
I see this, yeah.
presentation tonight.
So if we
Yeah.
could put the original
So,
cap up
Put
too.
that, yeah.
Yeah,
from-
thank you.
From 22, right?
Yeah, that was most recently.
And I think
Yeah.
it's posted in 22. I'll go grab it and move it
That'd
forward.
be awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, maybe let's end it on this. I mean, I do think to Jamie's point, I do think that it would be helpful from a budgeting standpoint, if we do look at some of these things though, right? Because I know, I do understand, like, we need to be capital efficient and save money, and we're always cutting budgets, but from a board perspective, like, this is important. If the Hanover's moving to this at 2023, the taxpayers have spoken to, so if there is an opportunity, and I kind of go back to even like the track, right? It's like, oh my gosh, like, all you need to do is get the funding in place and get the project in place and get it done, because there is an urgency here, right? This isn't something that we should be like, well, let's do in 5 years. If we can do an LED project and get the funding in place and get the loan out and just do it, you know?
Kim?
So I think this is all a great ad for everyone if they want to stay after we have our non-public session, because we're going to be talking about budget guidelines, and a lot of this will be discussed in our budget meeting. So we'll be talking a little bit more about that later. So if you want to stay around.
Well done, Kim.
Any other comments or questions? Yes.
I just wanted to add that I think one of the important reasons why we want to make this a district-wide climate action plan is so that we can monitor reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, because I'm not sure that that would happen through any other means other than through a climate action plan. And so when Jamie talks about getting the most bang for your buck, well, that's how you get the most bang for your buck, is when you drop your CO2 emissions the most with the, least amount of money that has to be invested. So I think that it's important that we keep monitoring this.
Thank you. We'll see you all next month.
Thank you so much.
April.
April.
Yes. Now we're gonna have to read through all of them.
So Jan, go ahead and switch us.
Yeah.